Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Why I Need podcast. Thank you for joining us. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe, like, share, and engage us in the comment section. We want to do a follow up to the K1 uh, apology that it released earlier today. And I wanted to get your opinion on it. Do you think the statement is legit? Do you think the statement was made in good faith? To be honest with you, I do applaud him for bringing himself down because we know he's a big man. He's an influential figure for bringing himself down to that level to even apologize to the people, to the president, the staff of the airline, the security officials. Because you know, there are so many influential people that don't apologize. Trump doesn't apologize to anybody, no matter who is wrong. You know, strong people don't tend to apologize, but we still got to give him a kudos for at least coming out and releasing a statement to that effect. So I want to get your opinion tonight. Do you think this statement is legit? Do you think the statement is made in good faith, or he's just trying to save face? What do you think?
First, I will have to commend them before I will come from the other angle. It takes a lot to apologize, especially for a lot of men. Men typically do not apologize for their wrongdoing. Yeah, it takes a lot to do that, and for that reason, you know, I think he did a very good job. His media team probably got him good. They probably handled it right. Contrary to the angle that the daughter was trying to go, the daughter was actually threatening lawsuit. She's a lawyer, probably was feeling herself, feeling too much of herself, and feel like she could take value jet, maybe fine, and the NCAA take them to court. But the media team, I think they did a very good PR in trying to control it. But for me, I don't think the apology is sincere. I think he was compelled to do it. I think the president actually got across to him and said, you need to do that apology. And knowing fully well that there were a lot of things on the line, he couldn't fly for 6 months. That is actually a lot of that would have done a lot of damages to his brand, to his movement, and that is not just within Nigeria. Even international flight, he couldn't board international flight. And there's also a chance that, Nigerian aviation, could actually talk to neighboring countries and ensure that he doesn't jet out or fly out from those places. Maybe take a cab to Cotonou, or they drop him off in Cotonou and he tried to, board a plane from Cotonou to maybe to London, US, anywhere. So he knew a lot was on the line, and at that point, he had no option than to just put that statement together. And if you watch carefully, he was reading it word for word. And then, a lot of people that know him feel like that is not K1. K1 is not the type that apologize. He wasn't in his element when he was reading that statement. That wasn't him. But, all in all, I think cool head will always prevail. He acknowledged that he was in the wrong. Somebody of his caliber, there was no reason for him to be in that kind of situation. And I think Nigerians should forgive him. If people do not mess up, there will not be forgiveness. So I think they should, forgive him, even though he did not make those statements in good faith.
So you don't think he made a statement in good faith? It was noticeable that he read it from either a teleprompter or from the notes in front of me. But I would think he should have at least spoken from his heart and truly acknowledged what he did. He took some accountability and mentioned he shouldn't have been in that position at all in the first place. But all in all, I think it was a good apology, even though it was a statement made by the PR. And it was just unfortunate that he's released an apology now. It probably won't serve that 6 month suspension from the NCAA or the FAAN. So I don't think it's going to really do justice to those pilots because he put those pilots in that position. So do you think the NCAA are going to come out and drop those charges against those pilots or give them the opportunity to be able to fly aircraft again? If you think about it, even if you apologize, if you think about it in any circumstances, if you apologize, there will still be some kind of accountability in place. Even if you apologize in the court, the judge might reduce your sentence, but you're still going to serve the sentence, right? You're still going to be held accountable. But instead of you doing 6 months, maybe they'll cut it down to 3 months or just cut it down to 1 month. But I do understand that he's an influential figure. He flies out often and often to do shows and things like that. And not being able to go out or fly out for 6 months will affect his brand, will affect his business. But if you don't do it like that, it's not going to be held accountable. And you think it still got away with it, even with an apology. Again, if you commit a crime, you go to the court, the judge will look at your history and recommend some kind of punishment for you. Even though you've apologized to the victim, it still doesn't change what happened. The apology won't change what has happened. And I would think that Nigerian people will forgive him, the government, the pilots, the airline will forgive him. However, there should still be a way to hold him accountable, because if you're not holding him accountable, other people might want to, do that in the future. And a way to deter people from doing it is to really hold him accountable. I like the fact that he came out there and released a statement, and he, took accountability, saying it was a fault. Yeah, but I would think you should still hold them accountable. You should still follow through on those accountability measures that you've put in place. Because if you don't, someone else might come out and say, "Okay, all I gotta do is to just apologize, and the people will forgive me, and I'll get away with it." In the real sense, even though you apologize, it's not going to change anything. You still be held accountable, but it might just be at a reduced penalty.
You said it perfectly. In fact, I would like to take it to another direction. He literally is saving himself. He's saving his image. All he's doing is optics. He's trying to steer the conversation away from damaging his reputation, damaging his brand. So I'm not even exactly sure why people are applauding him. Well, maybe because he's very strange in the environment, Nigerian environment, for us to see elders or people in position of power, for that matter, to be apologizing. But he's literally saving himself. He's actually drowning, because if he can't fly in 6 months, 6 months is from now. It's not even from now to December. 6 months will be from now till to February next year. So it means his business will be affected. He can't do nothing. So he's literally fighting for his own survival. So I'm not exactly sure why people are applauding him because he apologized. And that's correct. You said it. That he apologized does not shouldn't, be the reason why they should leave the suspension or shorten it. I think he should serve that 6 months. Whoever that is planning to do it tomorrow, that will serve as a lesson for the pilots, the first officer and the second officer, the ground crew, the security staff, everybody that witnessed that incident, especially on the tarmac, because they could have done a better job, but they did not get that situation under control. First line of action would have been to restrain him, to restrain his movement. That is by putting him on handcuff, so that he won't be able to be doing all those things he was doing. So if I were in a position, I would definitely fire everybody that witnessed that situation. The ground crew, the security, the safety officers, everybody that was on the tarmac with him, that let him loose, that let him be free and be moving around. I would definitely get rid of all of them. And then I will make sure that those two pilots never get to fly airplane again, because what they did was dangerous. We could make an argument that somebody cleared them and told them that it was okay for them to move, but was it really okay for them to move? And who did that if somebody did? So if I was in a position of which I'm not, so which means they should be going to church to be giving thanksgiving and then maybe doing no one bear for that. If I was in a position, yeah, definitely every single person that witnessed that incident, especially on the tarmac, I will make sure I get rid of all of them, fire them, relieve them of their duty. The pilots, relieve them of their duty and make sure that they never get to fly again. Because in aviation, the two most important things in aviation is security and safety. And we know that any fatality that has to do with airplane is always very fatal. There is nothing minor that happens with airplane. So maybe if, something had happened yesterday, K1 wouldn't have been the only victim. Maybe all the ground crew of the people that witnessed it would have been, a collateral damage. So it makes sense for them not to allow those people to fly airplane again. And they really jeopardized their license. They did not handle that situation very well. And I'm sure that during the course of their licensing, they have, conducted every single scenario-based situation. They probably have, anticipated every possible scenario, making sure that they cover all of that stuff. So for them to act the way they acted yesterday is short of the training they received. And I think Tinubu should allow him to go through the court system, allow him to go through the courtroom, because if care is not taken, if he is really interested in doing second term as the president, I think he should let K1 go through the court system, because this singular act, although we know that the election is in 2 years, can also jeopardize Tinubu's chances of getting second term. Because if he did not go through the court system, they did not hold him accountable, they reinstate him, they lift the ban on him, people will see Tinubu as somebody that do not uphold rule of law, and that would be very bad for his brand. And I think he should just allow him go through the court system. Maybe they can give him a reduced sentence. But if I were in Tinubu's position, I will ensure that he goes through the court system, because what he did could have been prevented. And from the grapevine, from the word on the street, people are saying that he actually know the person that owns the company. The value jet, actually, the person that owns that company is from Ijebu. So he probably know the person. He could have walked away and then put a call to the person and explain what happened if truly what they accused him, of doing was wrong, wasn't right. That was all he had to do. Yeah. But he allowed the thing to escalate, and where he put almost, several people, at risk.
Yeah, I disagree with your take on firing those workers. I think penalizing them, maybe suspending them without pay for 2 weeks or a month would be a decent option. I understand safety in aviation is very important. At the same time, if we want to be practical, the man in question here is an influential figure in the society. He's a very popular individual in the Southwest. So ideally, you wouldn't see police officers or securities rushing to put him in handcuffs or to restrain him. But it was just a regular Nigerian. They would have put him in handcuffs. They would have slammed into the concrete in no time. But because he is an elderly man, he was given that opportunity to calm the situation down. But unfortunately, he still insisted on it. And I'm sure somebody probably gave the pilot a green light for them. Because if you look at, there are multiple videos out there and there are other angles to the video that we've seen. If you notice, it looks like maybe the pilot was given a go ahead because she was already past the lines of demarcation, and Kevin was still standing in front of it. So someone probably gave him a go ahead. I don't think they have cameras to view what's going on the ground. The pilots don't have cameras to see what's going on right in front of them, right? It's their blind spot. But the people on the ground crew should have done a better job. I'll be okay with suspending them without pay for maybe 2 weeks or a month. Nothing up to firing all of them. I think it's just been overreactive. They should probably go through the retraining process and making sure they know how to control themselves and making sure the systems that they have in place is still working. But with K1, if you're affecting the lives of those people, especially ordinary people who are just out there looking for a means to survive, looking for a means to feed their families, and your position of power, you should be calm. And I still think they should still follow through on that penalty. Maybe give him a reduced sentence instead of 6 months. They can give him maybe 30 days. That way, people will know that truly the government today cares about the ordinary Nigerian. I do agree with you that it might affect Tinubu's second term, but again, we all know how to get him in the first term, so it's not going to stop them from getting him there in the second term.
Yeah, I mean, I think 2 weeks suspension is okay, but for me, because anything aviation, any occurrence with aviation, accident in aviation is always very fatal, and making sure there is a saying that you are whatever. I think you are strongest as your weakest link or whatever. So those are the weakest link in that company. I think it makes sense to let them go completely. Let them go so that you don't have to deal with that situation again next time. Because I promise you, if it was here in America, they don't care if you are 140 years. They will restrain you. No police officer. That is why most police officers, when they pull you over in America here, they will make sure they will sit you in your car. They will make sure you remain in your car. When you remain in your car, what they are avoiding is for you not to start acting erratic, become a problem to the public. They want to make sure they contain the situation in that immediate environment. They don't want it to escalate outside of that place. They want to be in control. So that is why you need to put him on handcuff. You want to contain the situation as much as possible. So when you want to start giving preferential treatment, now, at that time he had the time to be running all around, trying to block the airplane. It doesn't make sense. That's not how to handle that situation. I have not been in that kind of situation, but I've been in situations close to that. What you need to do is to restrain the person, restrain his movement, contain the situation as much as possible. So, in conclusion, tomorrow, I think if he has a second chance to reduce his sentence, I think he needs to reach out to everybody that was affected and then truly apologize to them. There's no reason to be acting like that. If what you cannot do outside of the country, please do not do it in your country. That is all. That's the only country we have. We don't have another country to call it home. So if you see them balkanizing the country, destroying the country, and nothing is left of the country. So tomorrow there is nothing to call Nigeria. So I think You are a big man, you are a small man, you are rich, you are poor. Conduct yourself in a civil manner. Do not pose a problem to the larger society.
Let me add one thing real quick. It looks like you've been out of the country for a long time, so you're being out of touch with the real culture out there. You know the culture is you respect the elders, you don't slam them to the ground, even if the elders are wrong. I think culture plays a part in what happened as well. Our culture is respectful. We want to respect the elders. Really, you see a police officer putting an old man in an handcuff, especially an influential figure. So maybe we need to change the training, train our security officers better to not respect any influential people out there that are breaking the law or causing havoc or about to cause issues in a country. But we can't not separate a culture and what happened on that day. They saw K1 as a respectful person. They saw him as an elder in the community. It was it's a familiar face. In one of the reports, he was saying, "Do you not know who I am?" Because he expects everybody to know who he is. So in that case, the way he would have slammed you and I, the way the security would have slammed us to the concrete, it would have happened in the twinkling of an eye. We wouldn't even dare to do it because we want to be respectful of the law. We know we're already breaking the law, and we'll just go away quietly. People with the entitlement, mindset, especially older people, they want to get what they want, right? So they want to get away, especially if the person in question knows the CEO or the owner of the company. He wants to flex and say, "Hey, I know your boss. I'm going to make sure you get fired," even though he was the one wrong, right? You still want to make sure the employees get fired, right? But it's just a sad situation all around. But I wouldn't blame the security officers that much because it's our culture, right? We respect the elders. But when you're enforcing the law, maybe our officers needs to be trained properly and let them know, hey, if an older person, an older gentleman is being disruptive, all you need to do is to find a way to restrain them and talk later. Restrain them first and talk later.
Yeah, thank you for your support. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like, share. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe. Thank you, and we'll see you on the other side.